Well, I'll start off by thanking everybody who's been calling and texting and emailing me to try and talk me off the ledge, but I'm actually not on a ledge. I mean, I feel like we're playing well. We're just not doing some things at the end of the game. I had a chance to take a look at a few things, and I look at those turnovers, and, I can't remember the last time I had a game with 21 turnovers, but I probably lost that game by about 30. So to have a chance of winning and you have that many turnovers just shows we're close. So with that, fire away.
I guess I was impressed by the fact that the players are still upbeat and still working hard and willing to go back and practice and keep grinding.
It's a good group of guys, and they understand that they're just plays away from being in a completely different position. So, and we as a staff, we're trying to stay as positive as you can possibly can in a situation like this. Everybody's disappointed. Everybody would love to win more games. But the character issue here is the fact that these guys are not giving up. They're still playing hard. They're still competing, putting themselves in a position to win the game. It is. I've said that. I said that early on too, Curtis. This is a learning experience for me. This is probably the most challenging since I've been a head coach. Now, when I was an assistant and we inherited a situation at Northwestern, kind of some similarities there. So I'm trying to draw from some things I learned there. But as a head coach, this is the first time that I've sort of had this kind of what's a good word? This kind of sort of losing such close games. I mean, I've been in positions where you've lost games and it's been by big margins and you've got huge things that you have to change, but we're trying to change just a few things, little things here and there to get us over the top.
Did the team at Northwestern, did they lose a bunch of close games as well, or what was
You're going to tax my memory, but there was a point there where we were losing a bunch of games by a lot. Then we would get it down to losing by a little, and every game would be close, especially the ones we played at home. And you could feel the progress being made, even though it didn't show itself. It didn't show up in the standings. And then as they started turning around even more, that's when I ended up going to Brown then.
Are you concerned at all about home attendance? I know it's not. I haven't looked at the numbers, but I think it's lower than it's been since you got here.
Well, I want to check that. I want to check those numbers because I think the student attendance took a hit, but I think that the season ticket holders and the fans who aren't students, I think it feels like we're at the same levels, but I'd have to check it too, Curtis. I'm not sure. But let's face it, fans want to come and watch their team win. So if we aren't winning, there will be a correlation there.
I don't know if this is a fair question or not, but given the rivalry with Oregon and the fact that they're doing so well, does that make it tougher on you guys as a staff?
No. What makes it tough for us as a staff is that you've got a group of guys, as you even mentioned, who are working hard, coming to work every day hard, trying to play for you and win for you. That's more disturbing than some other team doing better than we're doing, and I know that's a big thing in this state. When you're rooting for one of the teams, you're actually rooting against the other team too. But we're focused on our team, and we're just trying to get our ship righted, and we'll deal with them when we have to play them, the 2 times we have to play them.
Talking about that work ethic and the fact that you guys haven't quit, is it a noticeable difference between maybe, without referencing specific past teams, but have you had teams in the past where at 2-9 they might have taken their foot off the gas?
I don't think. Well, the only team that I can compare that to is the first 2 seasons. But we were sort of in a rebuilding mode, so you can't compare that to this. It wouldn't be a fair comparison. What I will say, though, Grady, is that to the credit of all the teams that I've coached here at Oregon State, they've all been hardworking in their own way. And that's a tribute to the kids who are, going through adversity and learning from it. It may be a characteristic of Oregon State students in general. I don't know. I don't get to see you in class and see when you're getting jammed up how you work, but I get a sense on this campus that this is a campus of hardworking kids who have good values and good character, and our I look at the other student athletes, they're all hardworking, they're all in the weight room early in the morning when I'm there working out, so it doesn't surprise me, and I would say that this team has taken on that characteristic of hard work.
I know you do practice situations, but are you going to add some more late game stuff just to try to?
It's really hard to replicate, but we're going to do what we do at the end of games and play our little 4-minute games and do our little drills at the end where we're trying to replicate those situations, but it's not. Those aren't the actual situations. Aren't what's hurting us. It's small mistakes like a turnover. I mean, you don't want to practice turning the ball over, so you just practice what you do over and over again. Missed foul shots, not blocking out. There are all these little things that cost you games right at the end. That there's no real, okay, let's have we can do boxing out drills until the cows come home, but when you're in the game and you're fatigued and if you don't execute it, you just don't execute it. So, we'll change up some stuff, but we're gonna, really, John, we're gonna try and stick with what we're doing because it's working 90% of the time. We just got to get that 10%.
Washington State, are you scouting them in the last few games, or are you scouting what you guys did against them back in June?
Both, but you do both. So your best information comes from when you played them because everything they did was specific to you. The next best thing is what they're doing currently, and our game wasn't that long ago, so they're both very relevant. So we'll scout, we'll watch both tapes, and be prepared for them to make some minor adjustments here and there.
Have you looked at the game tape yet? Not from your game in January 26th?
Our last Washington State game, have I watched that?
Yeah, have you looked back at that?
Oh, yeah.
To scout
Yeah.
for this? And what do you think, initial thoughts?
Well, I can't comment on the officiating, so that's my initial thought, and I know that's what you wanted me to say, but so I give you that. So I can't comment on that, but it was sort of the beginning of when we were starting to play real well. It was after the Washington game, and we have this vibe where the game now seems to be okay. We're in a winnable situation. Unlike playing at the early part of the conference where you're coming from behind against some of the higher ranked teams. So, we want to make sure that we don't let the guards go off like they did. I thought we did a good job on Modem for one half, and we did a good job on, I can't think of the other kid's name. Mike Ladd for one half. We got to do a better job on both halves with those guys. And then we got to continue to do the things that we're doing well. So we can't make it like a balloon where you squeeze one in and the other end pops out. We have to keep it all that contained along with doing stuff better at the end of games.
What do you think it is that Washington State's kind of had, I guess, OSU's number in the last couple of years for the most part? What about
Yeah, I don't like that term, having OSU's number, but I know what you mean. I think initially it started out, they had better players than we had when I first got here, and they played better than we did sort of the middle year. And then this last year, I thought we could have won the game had we not been making the kind of little mistakes we're making here and there at the end. They've had our number because sort of situational, but sometimes it's just the way we've played against them. I think that's it.
They're usually physical, does that factor in at all, or?
Might have when we first got here, but I don't think they're any more physical than we are. I think that they had Modem, and then prior to Modem they had the kid who's playing for the Golden State Warriors, Clay Thompson. They had a pro. Before that, they had the big kid from Australia who was good. They've had some pretty good players. So, it'd been a good team. It'd been a good team.
I didn't want to ask this last night because it's not super important, but I was surprised to see Olaf on the court with about 3 minutes left in the tie game. I mean, was that just kind of space to the floor, or just?
Well, Olaf has been playing well, and we had him in there initially just to give Joe a blow, and then when Joe came back in, Devon needed a blow, so he was in sort of just giving Devon a blow while he was in there. And he's clearly earned the right to be out there. I think his defense is getting better and better every game. It's really exciting to see. It was a shame that he had that turnover at the end, but that's, freshman. You're going to get those. And I got to say, of the 21 turnovers, that was, just one of 21, so you can't say too much negative about that. And then on top of everything else, he can space the floor because, you want to have him out there. If he gets wide open like he did, he could bang a shot, put you in a good position.
At the end of the game, you spoke to us earlier in the season about basketball IQ. How much does that play into stress, nerves?
See, that doesn't have, I've known some guys who can't play at this level who have high basketball IQ. I mean, it's not basketball IQ. It really is executing in the time of crisis. And sometimes you can teach that. Sometimes guys come with it within their own being already. And sometimes it's learned. I think most of the time it's learned behavior. It's not something you are born with. It might be some guys who are born with it. I don't know. But, I just look back on all the players I've coached, all the players I've played against. There hasn't been a coach who's taught them how to finish at the end of the game. They just kind of learn that from doing it, and all of this has made me, you had a question last night about how I'm sort of learning as a coach, and when you have times like this, it makes you look very closely at yourself. And I've been trying to understand and talk to other coaches about the things we're going through, and it's experiential. I mean, this is a first-time experience, so we're all trying to figure it out. As a player, I remember learning this from experience, not from, it wasn't like Coach Carrill said, okay, you got to shoot a left-hand hook shot when the game's down the wire. You have to hang on to the ball. You just do because you get in those situations enough. And when we're starting out, and you guys know how I am. I'm not making excuses. I'm just trying to tell you what's going through my mind. We have always been a team that's had to come back from deep deficits, and you almost get there and win. Now we're in the game the whole game, and it's going back and forth. Now you got to win a different way, or you got to come back a different way. It's different. And so if it's different for me, it's different for these guys. And that's what we're trying to get them to understand. You guys got to go through this enough until you get it right.
Were you calling other coaches like last night or this morning?
Well, I didn't do it last night and this morning, but I've been doing it. I do it all the time. So, I do it all the time. Don't ask me who I'm calling. I'm not going to tell you, John. That would be your next question.
I was going to ask that.
Yeah, I'm not telling you. Because then other guys will start calling them.
Speaking of high basketball IQ, is Modems one of the highest of guys you've played with?
Yeah, he's got a high basketball IQ. I think he's a really good player. I think he works on his game. You know, I think he's gotten better. He's gotten better. Look who's calling me, Ed Rush. How about that? I'll have to call him back. He's the head of our officials, for those of you who don't know. He's gotten better at a lot of things, you know, and he's you can tell he's matured because he's gotten patient. Like the game he played against us, he was patient in the first half. He didn't try and do too many things that he couldn't do, and then the second half he goes bonkers. That's a sign of high basketball IQ.
Yeah, Washington State game was the last time that Langston really played significant minutes. I think he played 21, played pretty well. Is that a matchup thing? Or will we see
At that point in time, it was a matchup thing. It was. This time around, you know, now that Charlie's in the starting lineup and you're starting 3 guards, it's a different kind of rotation, so it's affected his minutes. But when he gets out there, as you can see, he plays hard. He does what we want. He's going to be good at the top of that 1-3-1 at some point. You know, it's just that Eric is really good at it right now. So I think we're. You know, I'm very comfortable putting him in the game. I'm very comfortable putting any of the freshmen in the game.
Did Jarmall hit a wall at all?
No. I want to go on record again. Jamal's playing time has nothing to do with his play or his effort. It's just, you know, he's more defensive than offensive. When we need him in there for defense, we have him in there. We just need guys on the court who are, you know, especially with Charlie in, who's not as prolific from a scoring standpoint. If you have Charlie and Jamal in at the same time, it's like two-fifths of your offense is young.
So you committed to sticking with the 3-guard lineup at least for the foreseeable future?
I haven't committed to that. I just said maybe. But I don't want Washington State to know what we're doing before we get there. But it's probably pretty likely we'll stick around, stick with it. I like having Charlie running the offense. It really helped Ahmad get going, and I think it was reiterated in the second half when Charlie wasn't in and Ahmad didn't do as much because they were able to change the matchups. So I don't think it'd be any kind of secret that we would probably go with the 3-guard lineup, but I could change my mind by Wednesday.
Still going to bring Eric off the bench?
You know, I've been thinking about that. I don't know. This week, these next couple of days, I'll decide. But it's you know, those kind of changes would be kind of cosmetic because he plays like a starter anyway. Once he's in, it's hard to get him off the floor unless he gets in foul trouble or tired. So I don't know. Maybe I'll throw him in there at the beginning of the game. Who knows? I don't think the beginning of the game's not the issue. It's the end of the game. And you know, one thing I'll also pass along to you folks that I've noticed on the tape. It's not the 4 stops. We're getting the 4 stops. Now it's executing on our part. It's the mistakes. So I was really pleased with the way we sort of handled them on defense, except for Dinwiddie, who had a perfect night. It was just that was really amazing to see, and good for him.
Do you think the confidence at the end of the game might have anything to do with the beginning of the game? Like
No.
who starts and who doesn't start?
Well, I hadn't thought of that. I don't think so. I don't think we have the kind of team that has that good of attention span. When you get to the end of the game, you have no idea. You're not thinking about what happened at the beginning of the game. You know, there's nobody who's that focused. That would be like having a coach on the floor. Then we'd be in good shape. No, I don't think that's it. I think at the end of the games, we're all trying to do the right thing, and we're pressing a little bit. Like, you know, I just use Roberto as an example. He's one of our best scorers, and he's trying to pass the ball at the end of the game. Just go ahead and take your man. So it's more, I think, our guys are really trying to turn the corner And it's almost like they're making themselves more nervous by trying to turn the corner. Everybody's trying to do the right thing, and they end up pressing a little too much.
Do you think Stark's performance was due, at least in part, to start Barton?
Yeah,
And getting in that?
I do. I think that when his primary responsibility is not getting us into our offense, it makes it easier for him to get free for scoring opportunities, number one. Number two, it changes the person who's guarding him. And I think that helps a lot.
So in the second half, when the mod wasn't as involved offensively, was there consideration to play Chale more?
Yeah, well, I put him in there, and they just, turned the ball over 2 quick times and was stumbling around, and it just didn't give me the confidence that he was, So I took him out, and then we were playing well, so I didn't put him back in.
Do you think some of that might have to do with the fact that he's starting the game and then goes to the bench for a while and watches for a while?
I thought it was because he started the game and got in foul trouble and didn't play the whole first half. And then when he started the second half, everybody's been playing, and that's sort of the beginning of the game for you. It's really hard to catch up that way.
You've done a couple weeks now with doing the Wednesday, Sunday kind of thing. Do you still feel it's a non-factor as far as?
Well, so we're so focused on this end of game thing. I would be sort of just winging it if I told you that. I don't think with as many timeouts as we have in these games and having the preparation, the Wednesday, Sunday is not a factor. I mean, at least in my mind, but I'm not running around there every day. And these guys they play way more basketball than I ever did. But I'm in favor of all of these games being on national TV. So I'm sort of predisposed to liking whatever permits that. And what we're seeing is that the kids that we're recruiting love seeing us on. I mean, even though we're having a tough time, they're watching a team play hard and play together and get down to the wire. That's good for us. That's good. We're in Corvallis. I think if you're in Corvallis or Pullman, you're at a bit of a disadvantage from a recruiting standpoint than if you're in the Bay Area, LA, Phoenix, Tucson area, or even Denver and Salt Lake City, where you've got sort of a natural population to pick from.
You have several guys on this team that won a lot back in high school, and I mean, you've referenced that before.
Mhm.
Guys like Ahmad, I mean, I think he hit a game winner at buzzer beater in a playoff game, right? I mean, do you ever, consider maybe showing them that and being like, this is what you're capable of, and telling them that winning's in their blood, even if they've forgotten.
Yeah, we do.
The games.
We do. It's safe to say that we're trying absolutely everything except for hypnosis. We haven't tried hypnosis yet, but we've tried just about everything else.
When you've talked to those other coaches, some of your mentors, what have they told you about these close losses and like the different situations?
It's experiential. That's what I'm getting from talking to them, that it's experience and not necessarily having a 4-year guy be out there on the court. It's having experienced doing things in crunch time successfully.
So are they telling you maybe like these experiences from this year, this team, because you'll have most of these guys back next year, they're going to be able to draw from these experiences and then pull these kinds of games out?
That can be inferred from what we've been talking about, but we're trying to figure out a way to get it done now because we want some of this to start working before next year. There's still a lot of basketball to play this year. And for the most part, the consensus is they're playing well and they're learning from all these experiences. At some point, we got to be on top on one of them. So, and then you hope that bleeds into the next one, which bleeds into the next one. But you won't know until you do it.
Do you look ahead to the Pac-12 tournament at all? Since that's
I'm not. at this point because this is so important for us. Each game we play is so important, and these guys aren't looking toward that. I mean, you can tell by the way they're playing. They're looking toward winning the next game. But the way sort of the life works, I'll just say life because I won't blame you guys. I won't blame the media or I won't blame access to information, but people are always talking about it. So I can't say that it's not in their minds, but I got to tell you, the way they're playing, they're very focused on each day. And we've really worked on that these last 2 years about now we got to win today's practice, and now we have to win the shoot around, and then we got to win the game. You know, we're still in that one day at a time thought process. But it's in the back of everybody's mind. I mean, that's the good thing about playing in a conference that has a conference tournament. But we're not looking at that yet. It would, you know, I mean, it wouldn't do you any good. You just want to focus on keep getting better.
Would you agree that worrying about your seed probably is irrelevant because 9 through 12 or somewhere in that range, the Pac-12 is so much parity that it's probably not going to matter too much?
If I was thinking about that, I would probably not be thinking about the seeding. Not for the reason you gave, but just because we're so focused on what we're trying to do. I think your statement's correct. I'm just not thinking about it yet.
That's good.
Anybody coming up to Seattle? Oh, okay. All right. All right.